Okay, great. Hi, Douglas. How are you?
Hey Rob, I'm pretty good. How are you?
Good. So let me say a couple words about how we got here uh, to give people some orientation. This is Douglas Stewart, and I met Douglas in yoga. Douglas is a, a very senior yoga teacher. I met him at Ishta Yoga, and um, and was yeah, really kind of moved and impressed with how he teaches. And I think I've been going to your class for about a year or so, perhaps, actually longer. Um, and uh, I also wanted to say that Douglas has been somebody who's really helped me during the COVID experience. Like COVID, navigating COVID and navigating a political storm, and so maybe we'll touch on that a bit today. So thanks for joining me.
It's my pleasure. Thank you
Um,
for asking me.
so so I we were just talking a moment ago, and you were telling me a little bit about your background in dance, and I would love to hear a little bit about that. So you were a ballet dancer.
Yeah, it seems like eons ago. I was a ballet dancer. I trained at Alvin Ailey School and also at Dance Theater of Harlem, and was hired to dance in a regional company in Kansas City, Missouri, Kansas City Ballet Company, which during the time I was dancing there, the name had changed to State Ballet of Missouri. We never liked the name of that when the company changed its name. And
Mm,
eventually when I left again, it went back to Kansas City Ballet. But anyway, I spent 15 years dancing there in that company. I also danced in a company in Portugal,
mm.
Companhia de Lisbon, for about a year or so. Um, so yeah, that's my background as a ballet dancer. It was an interesting. I got older, of course, as we do, and
Yeah, we were talking about that too.
and had to segue to something that was less injurious for my body, you know. So I pursued acting when I came back to New York,
Mm,
and waiting tables and auditioning and that whole journey that actors go through here in the city, and finally ended up teaching yoga,
mm,
where I had the pleasure of meeting you just a year ago. So the journey is always curving and up and down. It's never a straight. I thought, or when I was younger, I thought my life was going to go in a particular direction and direct out to my point of focus. But looking back, I can see how there are always curves and dips and
mm.
rises and falls, and um, yeah. So
Yeah, and it's you mentioned how for you one of your earlier connections with yoga was you were saying that it helped you navigate some of the challenges you were experiencing at that time. And
yeah,
that's one of the ways that I use yoga, definitely. It's, like life has its craziness, and then you go to yoga and it kind of brings you back uh, to a calm place. So,
I think it's everyone's. Anyone who comes into the yoga studio, I find, is coming there because they're needing to have a question answered. And there's been
mm,
some irritation, there's some aggravation, some disturbance in the life, physical, emotional, um, and, uh, mental agitation. And there's that agitation, I think, that brings us into the room to discover how to solve this issue through this process, through this ancient process. So even for me, especially when I've been just sort of emotionally just challenged, or relationships that I've
mhm,
been involved with, and pursuits of work and uh, just every life challenge, I've used my yoga practice as or have come to use, it wasn't always the case, but
Mm,
have come to use my yoga practice as a means of focusing myself, grounding myself, and just allowing all of the preconceived ideas and notions that I have about myself to sort of move away for a moment or two so that some inspiration or clarity or some revelation or some aha, some
mhm,
spark will
mm,
come to move me forward um, into the next part of my life. And I'm surprised each time to find myself where I am, but absolutely, um, and I was going to say rewarded, but not disappointed.
mm. You know, an interesting thing occurred to me. I think people come to yoga with a certain idea of what it's about, what they might discover, and you were saying on a sort of a day-to-day basis, they come with a particular challenge or something. Um, I think I had certain ideas when I started practicing or started practicing more consistently, and then at a certain point, uh, that may or may not be the case. Whatever you imagine may or may not be the case of what you discover there. But what does happen, or what's been my experience, is that I start to notice, well, what does it do? What is the effect after coming to class again and again and again? And, just noticing, oh, okay, after class, I feel more grounded, I feel centered. Or like you said, one thing I noticed in the last year is very often I will have kind of these aha moments when I'm practicing, or I keep a little notebook near me now when I'm practicing because so many ideas come that I want to be able to capture some things. The other thing that really occurred to me is I think people go to class or they go to a particular teacher because of the way the class and the teacher makes them feel. At least that's been my experience. And I've seen people showing up to your class uh, so consistently for a long time. And so I was reflecting on, okay, well, what is the feeling? What is the experience that I'm getting? Um, and for me, I think it's twofold. Like I get to experience your regard for the people in the room. Um, like I feel a level of respect and attention or kindness. And when I talk to your other students, that's one thing that I've heard. And then the other thing is we all get to go for the ride of what you're experiencing as you're teaching, because you're practicing with us, and I see you guiding yourself emotionally through a journey. And so we get to go on that ride also. So that's kind of cool. um,
Yeah,
eh,
it's interesting. I feel like if I'm not connected with my class and students, then I am talking at people rather than experiencing. Uh, I feel like we're all on the path together, and if
mm,
I'm with you in the pose, even though when I'm teaching, I don't consider myself practicing yoga. Perhaps I am to one level, but I am also having to speak
mhm.
and and plan and and seed what's going
Bunch of
on in
little
the room,
boxes.
where
Yeah.
to adjust in little boxes now, and so I'm juggling lots of plates at the same time. Whereas a practitioner that comes to my class may just be able to listen to my instruction or see me visually and can let go of some of the things that they've been needing to think about. The brain or the mind becomes more. We move away from deciphering just um, to just being immersed in the moment. And
mm,
so I feel like I'm on the journey with my class and therefore a little bit more connected and can guide if
mm,
I'm with people rather than at people.
mm-hmm,
Um, it goes back to my dancing days, I think, where, and even to my acting days, where you are in a play and it's not just your character, but the playwright has written the parts for other characters to interact to make this piece of work,
mm-hmm,
and to divorce yourself from any aspect of that, or even the lights, or the sound, or the stage, or the audience. It's all part of the experience. And to let one part of that go, the totality of the experience is gone as well. And and it's the intention of the artist to draw the person deeper into that experience. And so
mm,
maybe that comes with me as a yogi and as a teacher, to just create a way through visual, through audible, through whatever means, to draw that person into the moment more and
mm-hmm,
more, as I say in my classes, completely,
mm-hmm.
without mm, deviation, if possible. So, yeah, I'm on the journey as well.
Mm. That's, I think that's something that really resonated with me in your work is in some of my work, I feel like I'm doing my best to help bring somebody to a centered place where they can kind of perhaps have a different experience of the world because they're in a centered place, right? And that's definitely been my experience in your class, that you have a great ability to bring people there, uh, and and perhaps we can do a little bit of that now. So to let the cat out of the bag, uh, uh, I asked Douglas to at some point perhaps uh, guide me, guide us um, in a meditation, which you know I think people sometimes react to the term meditation again because they have these ideas of what it should look like. Um, and yet this is a very kind of accessible and yeah, accessible process that most people can relate to. So I'll give it over to you.
Thank you. Well, accessible, and especially during the time of COVID, we've needed something to, you and I were talking before, earlier, where, um, politically in our country, and we're starting now to grapple with our history and with race and systemic racism, and it feels like everything is just bubbling up. And for a long time, especially when we started our lockdown back in March, I felt my stomach just agitated, just nervous and unable to sleep,
Mm,
and um, and relied more and more on my meditation and yoga practice in order to soothe and calm myself. And so I feel like this particular meditation that you've invited me to offer to your audience is a meditation that everybody can do, and hopefully won't frighten or will dispel the preconceived ideas and notions that we have about meditation. And hopefully more and more people will begin to use this tool. It's not a religion or anything like that, but it's just a tool to access and the deeper understanding of mind and how it relates to body, and mind and how it relates to spirit,
mm,
if you will. And mind and how it relates to the other aspects of my day to day. So this is a simple meditation,
Mm.
hopefully that will just focus the mind into a more specific kind of concentration. Um, I love, there are many definitions of meditation, but I love the definition that says a focused relaxation.
Mm.
And well, enough said. Let's just get right to it, and then you can ask me
And
more
then we'll talk
questions,
about it.
and then
Yeah.
we'll talk about it. So,
Okay.
if
So,
you're just starting this meditation today and you're wanting to experience a little taste of it, then get yourself comfortably seated. So on your chair, on your sofa, however you want. But the important thing is just to keep your torso upright. You can lean back onto your sofa or your chair, but if you do, then you're more likely to sort of drift to a sleep. So maybe sit towards away from the back of your sofa with your torso upright. And then close your eyes and turn your palms to face down. I'm going to close my eyes too, and it just helps me to sense, if you will, as I follow the movement of energy myself, to help guide you and me and Rob into this meditation. So turn your palms to face down and close your eyes. And you can feel already how you've moved towards an inner uh, terrain, just by closing your eyes and coming towards a stillness. It's not that we've shut the world out, but it gradually has less and less appeal, the periphery, if you will. Just notice that. And then feel how your physical body is finally connected to the ground, say. You feel how you are supported by the chair or the sofa, or if you're sitting on the ground in a cross-leg position, a traditional way, you feel the ground underneath you, the supportive surface. And as you feel yourself supported now, your physical body supported, the tensions in your mind and in your body continue to drain. You've come into this stability support that's given by the ground, steadiness, support. And in this steadiness, your mind and your body can let go of the grip, holding, locking, the pushback, resistance. Now that you are steady and safe and secure. Bring your awareness to your toes. And just relax your toes. Bring your awareness to your feet. And relax your feet. Be aware of your ankles. Relax your ankles. Be aware of your lower legs. Relax your lower legs. Be aware of your knees. Relax your knees. Be aware of your upper legs. Relax your upper legs. Be aware of your hips. Relax your hips. It feels like your legs and your pelvis and your feet are now just surrendered to the ground, more secure, stable, steady, rooted. Give your attention now to your spine and just notice how your spine is energized up, alert, without slack or strain. Like a stem growing up out of the ground, or a tree trunk lengthening upward. And now you can relax your belly. And your chest. Your shoulders can fall from your jaw. Relaxed. Relax your upper arms. Relax your elbows. Relax your lower arms. Relax your wrists. Relax your hands. Relax your fingers. And your head just floats above your shoulders. Relax your jaw then. And let your tongue relax on the floor of your mouth. Relax your temples. Relax your nasal passages open. Relax your ear canals open. Relax your eyes. Relax your forehead. Relax your scalp. Relax your brain. You feel all the various regions in your physical body now open and available to the moment. Like a flower that opens its petals to the light. You've opened yourself now and removed any resistance to your own inner awareness. You are available and alert. Be aware of the rise and fall of your breathing. Be aware of the space that follows your out breath. And then just simply open your eyes to the ground. You get a sense of the ground underneath you through your eyes now as we're beginning to end our meditation. And if you're able to touch your hands down onto the ground or onto a more solid surface, pressuring your hands into that solid surface will just help you to ground a little bit more. You're less likely to be flighty or spacey. Once you feel yourself more grounded, then you can open your eyes to the rest of your space. And just notice how you feel.
Thanks for bringing me back. I could have stayed there. I could have stayed there for a little bit more.
I know. I realized that, but I know the interview goes, I didn't think it would go to Tuesday. Long time.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much.
You're welcome. So that's just a little taste of meditation, just to that I've learned to do, and I've given this meditation to my family even, and that I've used during the pandemic. And anytime I feel troubled or agitated, just to take a few minutes to scan through and 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 offer with love and tenderness each one of those regions that we traveled through,
Mm,
a chance and an opportunity to relax, and then to be immersed in that space of focused relaxation for however long. I mean, we ended it because we are in this time frame, but be there for as long as you'd like to be there,
mm,
and find, I discover, we were talking earlier, how once I have allowed all of that tension, chronic tension and strain to evaporate a little bit, I find myself just doing the things that I've been pushing in my living,
mm,
procrastinating,
mm.
and I seem to get things done. What I'm observing about myself lately, and that's I like that about myself.
Mm,
I'm and I'm generous with myself and with my friends and family, um, without being strained by generosity.
mm.
If that's, yeah. So I find there's so many benefits for me, that are often surprising.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I really like about that particular meditation or that type is I think it's great for active minds. I have an active mind. Um, I feel like I'm at Active Mind Anonymous. um, but when I talk to friends about meditation, again, because I think of kind of preconceived ideas, a lot of people feel like I can't sit down and get that focused. My mind is too restless, et cetera, et cetera. I think this is a great type of meditation for that, a great point of entry, because it engages your attention just enough, uh, and through engaging the attention, I notice that my mind calms down.
Yes.
Um,
You're able to move your mind. The mind wants to move, it just does. But you're guiding it. So there is some movement of it still. It's satisfying that need, but at
mhm,
the same time getting more and more focused to, while eventually you arrive where the mind is just resting in this reservoir of space between
mm,
breaths. It feels like it can relish that opportunity to be in that space, having traveled um, along the body. It's great
mhm,
for active minds. Yeah.
mhm.
Yeah.
um, I think it's also interesting what you said about doing things that perhaps you were procrastinating with. Procrastination is one of my favorite topics,
Oh,
and it's like everyone's got some somewhere. um, and what you said about procrastinating less after this type of meditation actually makes a lot of sense to me, because I think a lot of our resistance to things begins to soften after a process like this. And I think when we stop resisting, then we're actually able to join or experience something and perhaps take on a task that we were pushing away or afraid of on a very subtle level, right? It's like, okay, maybe this is something I can handle. or, getting that center so that you can handle these things. So,
Yeah. And especially as we travel from toes to ankles to knees to hit, we moved along the body, the life also moves from one task to the next. And we train ourselves to understand that this next task is part of the journey,
mm,
and then we move to the next task and on and on. And it doesn't become some frightening thing, some daunting experience that we're pushing back against, as you say. It becomes part of the progression. And so we're I won't say eager, but just sort of trained to move on, to go step by step, breath
mm.
by breath through the various circumstances and situations that we face.
Mm. Is this a type of meditation that you'll also do by yourself?
Yes.
Great.
Oftentimes, or like in the middle of the day, sometimes when I'm between classes,
Mm,
especially when I was moving, we didn't have the Zoom, and I'd have to travel on the train to go
mm,
to a class and come back home. And so there was a lot more interplay with people and other circumstances and situations. And so I would come home maybe between classes, get myself still, do a quick scan through the body, sit in that reservoir of space, and then do what I needed to do in between classes, get those things accomplished. So, and it was a nice rest between, my mind could rest and focus at the same time on the next class that I would give. What kind
mm,
of class? Who's in the class? Where should we go with this particular class? Those ideas and topics would come to the
mm.
front of my mind, and I could um, feel more focused then. So yeah, it's a meditation that I would give in the afternoon, say in between a little light meditation. The meditation that I do for myself in the morning is a little bit more involved. It's the Ishta Diksha, which involves
Mm,
alternate nostril breathing, the Hamsa Kriya. It's a little bit more involved in terms of the techniques, but still a journey.
hmm.
Um, but that's
And
the one
some asana.
yeah.
Um, yeah. So just to give people a little context, this particular format that Douglas is talking about, it really moves you through a series of exercises to prepare yourself for the meditation. So that you'll do some yoga postures. There's usually some postures that involve twisting and side bending to balance the two sides of the body. Um, and then some
Mhm.
sort of pranayama or breath work.
Yes.
Uh, and through each of these practices, it kind of settles your body down. And actually it's a great way to settle the mind down in preparation
Mhm.
for meditation. So
Yes.
very
We're
cool.
always in meditation moving from, I think anyway, from a great wide lens to a more focused lens,
Hmm.
and then eventually transcending that point into a more expansive lens, but without the agitation in that
Mm,
field. And so
mm,
the journey from physical stretching, twisting, bending is also beginning to bring the focus of the mind to a more specific point where in that stillness it can transcend, but without it's if you think of a prism of light
hmm,
where light flows in white and then it fractures, I think that's the
hmm,
right term,
mm,
um, into its rainbow colors. And but
hmm,
it goes through that point before it happens, or the different bands of light will come through a point and then emerge as white light. So it's
mm,
just that focal point that's allowing you to move beyond.
mm,
Um,
mm.
so Concentration is key. I like to think of meditation as focused, concentrated, but relaxation. So if you
Yeah, and
feel
it's
grip or strain in any way, then it kind of defeats the purpose. But you can also see and use that resistance or strain. It becomes also a tool or mechanism to transcend. So,
yeah, I think what I really enjoy about some of these practices is that it guides your mind to the point of focus or concentration, um, which is different than someone saying, "Okay, we're going to meditate now, so I'd like you to concentrate," which kind of puts you on the spot, and it's like, "Well, shit, how do I do that? That never worked. That never worked out in grade school.
or you
How's it
go
going to
like
work
this,
out now?" Yeah,
you
yeah,
know.
exactly. Like, yeah, you tried it, and then it's like, "Oh shit, I'm thinking. Oh my god." So, all right. Well, I have a list of topics that I would love to chat more about, but I think that's a good place for us to sort of end things today. So, any additional thoughts or any tips to leave us with?
Well, I'm just overjoyed that you asked me that, and especially because you asked me to lead a little meditation. So, if this meditation is helpful for anyone and everyone, please utilize it. And if not, then seek those kinds of meditations that you might find more appropriate for your state or condition. There's so many
Mm,
avenues into focusing, training the mind to stillness. Um, and to appreciate the expansion and stillness and the quietness of the mind. So maybe try this as a tool uh, for meeting some of our challenges.
yeah, and one thing I'll do on the recording is I'll also mark uh, roughly the spot where the meditation starts, so that if people want to come back to it and just jump into that moment, they can do that.
Yeah, that'll be
Um,
good.
and Douglas, when we wrap up, I'll ask you if there are any links or things that you'd like to share with people, and I'll put those in the notes also, so that if
Well,
people
thank
want to
you.
find you or try a class or something like that. Although I don't want our
Well, they
I don't
can
want our
try.
I don't want the class to get too crowded. It's like I want to keep it a little bit secret. So, well,
Well,
thank you.
you can just find me at the Ishta Center,
Okay,
ishtayoga.com,
great,
and come to my classes if you want to experience the kind of yoga that I teach. So
great. Well,
thank
thank you so much.
thank you so much, Rob.
All right,
Namaste.
namaste.